Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on three. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Take from What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Amy. Today I'm talking to Charles Bock. He is the New York Times-bestselling author of the novels Beautiful Children and Alice and Oliver. He's also a creative writing professor at New York University and the father of 2 daughters. He lives in New York City, and his most recent book and first memoir that we're going to be talking about today is I Will Do Better. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you for having me here, Amy. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
I Will Do Better is a memoir of fatherhood and grief and love. And I was hoping that you would start by telling us about your wife, Diana.
Absolutely. My late wife, Diana Colbert, she wanted to be a mother. And that was a main priority in her life, in her adult life. She is someone who was raised in Memphis, who went to NYU. We met both at the end of our 20s, early 30s. And she was a massage therapist who then ended up going to graduate school to try and get a doctorate. But in the meantime, while we were together, she had to watch me try and write my first book. And while she very much wanted to be a mom, I would not do fatherhood until I had finished my pipe dream, chasing the great white whale kind of project that no one thought I would ever be done with. So in the meantime, this wonderful woman who literally did have a favorite tree that she hugged on her street, who was very kind of open to the world. And you would meet her, and at the party we met at, the thing that I remember and noticed most about her was that everyone who saw her lit up. Everyone who knew her or recognized her lit up at the chance to see her again. And that she was just a open, kind person and smart, but not in a way that was shrewd or that where you had a sense of someone who's always counting and tracking things, but just intelligent and had that new age, lovely quality, and stuck by me. We did a DIY wedding in Vermont for $7,000 where that we took care of ourselves. Our honeymoon was driving around in a beat up old car, eating the rest of our wedding cake and staying at little hotels. And then, somehow did manage to finish the book.
And it became a huge success, the book, after all of that. Yeah.
It had its moment, wonder of wonders. Some people liked it. And thank you for saying that. And our daughter, Lily, was 6 months old when Diana was diagnosed with a complex form of leukemia. And she spent the next 2.5 years. She had 2 bone marrow transplants. She would have checked herself into a yoga retreat or somewhere and meditated away the cancer if it was up to her. But she had a daughter. And so she put herself in the hands of everything that Western medicine could do. And Diana passed away 3 days before Lily's third birthday. And in the photos, in the few videos we kept of the two of them together, in all the photos, she's just delighted with her child. She was someone who she fought very hard to try and stay and here and be a mother for Lily. She was determined to make it to Lily's third birthday and came up just a little short on that front. But she was delighted in what she had and in the chance, to sit on a chair with her baby in her lap and watch Dorothy ease on down the road. Or that's the Wiz, actually. That's not Wizard of Oz. But watch Dorothy follow the yellow brick road, to sit with her baby, have her baby in her lap, and watch everyone skip and follow the yellow brick road and watch all the munchkins sing.
That's a scene in the book, I recall, actually, that your daughter wanted to see videos of her mother after she was gone. And those videos, right, we're all taking photos and videos all the time. And this was long enough ago that maybe there wasn't as much footage as you'd have now, right? And so the clips are very precious. And this is a pretty short clip that your daughter wanted to watch over and over again because it was sort of incidental, right? Here we are together watching TV.
It takes place kind of late in the book during a blackout from the hurricane where I haven't gotten us out of the apartment to somewhere else. But during the day, I can go charge the phone, charge the computer. And at night when we come home, there's a night where I need to fill time with her. And one of the things I did was I started showing her all the videos. And this child was just fascinated because she has this hole, she has this absence. She does want to find her mom. She does want to know as much as possible, as much as she can know, to see anything she could see. And so the chance for me to finally put it together and us to sit still and to show her one picture after another, one video after another. And it is really a video laid from Diana's life of the two of them just sitting for a minute in a chair watching The Wizard of Oz, and she's transfixed by it. Yeah, that is a scene in the book.
You mentioned a little earlier, and you talk about it in the book too, that Diana, she went through her leukemia so differently because she was a parent, that she might have done things, she might have not opted to fight as hard as she did, but she did because she really wanted to be there for Lily. And can only imagine that you walked through this time of your wife's illness differently because you were a parent. And you also talk honestly in the book about was something that you perhaps came to a little more reluctantly, your journey to parenthood.
Yeah, my journey to parenthood was like, I would say, a decent amount of guys, especially guys who have any level of artistic ambition to them, in that I was not running headfirst celebrating. There were things I wanted to do with my life. And I think most guys are scared of becoming their dad. In my mindset, giving into parenthood means certain commitments that I recognized from my own father that I was scared would get in the way of my own ambitions. Diana, meanwhile, desperately wanted to be a mom. She was approaching the age where things have to happen or they aren't going to happen. And I did have some very important people in my life tell me, you can't tell the woman you're spending your life with, she can't have a baby. And that seemed profoundly right. So, okay, then I'll be a dad, but I'll be like I'll strap on the Bjorn on weekends.
And collect accolades at the farmer's market, right? Everybody will tell you how great you are.
Yeah, that's right. Look at us. We're parenting. I didn't hold that child. I did not gestate the child inside me for 9 months. I did not have that, mystical, otherworldly bonding that takes place that's as part of your body. Yeah, okay, you want to be a mom? Great. When she got sick, I had to step up. And not just all the things of the logistics of how to take care of my wife, how to handle all the hospital stuff, the pill regimens, and the physical care for her, but also figuring out care for the baby and taking care of the baby. And I did step up. And then when Diana passed, it did all fall on me. And I did have a huge amount of fear. My friends, anyone who knew us would be like, privately, that poor child, like there were people who did check in on us, and they were checking in to be nice, but they were checking in for Lily's benefit, to make sure she had a winter coat, to make sure, not because I'm not going to get her one, but because Charles thinks a little different, and we just want to make sure that everything's okay. I had to go on a journey of not just duty and not just loving my kid, but you can love someone and still not want to do things. I was terrified. I didn't really want all the responsibilities of it. They were on my shoulders, and I did very strongly feel this child does need a parent. There was a time in the book where I may be tempted by the idea of sending her away to have her grandma raise her, but I did start off feeling like she needs a parent. She needs me here. I resented that, and part of the book is about me having to grow out of that feeling of resentment and duty, and doing something out of duty, which always leads just to anger and frustration, into wanting to do it. And then just because you want to do something doesn't mean you're good at it. I want to play the piano and I cannot do that. So then how do I learn, and how do I step up into actually being a good parent? And the book has to move through all these moments, while also, do I get to have a chance at a private life? What happens when there's crazy disasters in the city? How do I try and get a couple of dimes in my pocket and keep the roof over our head? All these things kind of juggling simultaneously. And meanwhile, in the center of it, there's this beautiful, innocent, motherless girl who wants to go to the ball, a little princess who wants to go to the ball, and who does bring all this light into both my life and the book, even as I'm scared witless through great parts of it.
I'm talking to Charles Bock. His new memoir is called I Will Do Better, and we'll be right back. Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com. Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. Charles, the way that this book starts will be familiar to anyone who has gone through a loss of someone very close to them, which is you're in the taxi and your wife has just died and your brain is filled with the details of all of the things that you have to handle, all of the things that as the default parent and the widower that you have to handle, including your child's 3rd birthday, which is just days away.
Yeah, unimaginable. 3 days away. And I really was literally at the same time, like nailing down details about her birthday cake and going back and forth with this woman who's running a funeral home out of her house to try and deal with details about the cremation and the urn and memorial stuff. Like it really was happening at the same time. And Lily's 3rd birthday party had been planned. It was everyone from our life came to it. And it was the most surreal thing. Everyone standing around like numb, but meanwhile also having to play with your kids and having kids run through the little maze and try and drink and eat all the sugar available to them. Life is still happening, but at the same time, it had been 2.5 years of hospitals and bone marrow transplants and people dropping off food and who's going to sit with Diana and visit her at this moment and these hours. And there was a large unreality to it all. I mean, it was just bizarre. Man plans, God laughs. Really, really true, yes.
And you talk about how you've just lost your spouse. You have a barely 3-year-old child, and people were there to help you. But as you just said, at the end of already several years of helping, there is something that happens, right? That people do start to go back to their own lives. They have to. That's right.
They have to. And things burn down to the, like your inner circle and your essence of people. And then in my case, 2 weeks later, or a week and a half later, I then have a freak accident where I destroy my elbow, I fracture my hip.
Tell our listeners about this, a little more about this, because it's just, on this podcast, we call it a thing and a thing. There's always a thing and a thing. And this is perhaps the most insane example of the second thing.
This is the thing, and it really is. Like, it was December 19th, so 11 days after Diana passed, the start of Christmas week. So the whole city is emptying. Everyone's...
Yeah. Which if you don't live in New York City, people might not understand that. Like people decamp, like your apartment building really empties out. Whether or not you celebrate Christmas, you just get out of New York City for 2 weeks.
You know, people go home. Everyone goes back at family time and the city's empty. It's kind of a great time to go see a show or go to a restaurant. Empty city, start of Christmas week. We've had a good night. I'm just trying to run out the string until we can Skype with grandma and get her in bed. And one of our games is run around in the hallway. And it starts off as like a little hide and seek or a little chase. But one night I went down the steps, and while she was looking for me in the hallway, I came back up the elevator and surprised her. So tonight, she goes down the stairs. She's running down the stairs. I go to the elevator to follow her. I'm not wearing socks. When she goes down to the lobby, she comes out and I take off to run to beat her in the race. For some reason, I decided I'm going to do Tom Cruise risky business and I'm going to slide. I'm not wearing socks. Unlike Tom Cruise, I did have pants on, but I just kept on sliding and my feet went over my head. And as mentioned, I landed and destroyed myself. I shattered my elbow. I fractured my hip. Lily thought it was the funniest thing in the world, Daddy and his funny falls. She's standing over me laughing. And immediately I could see my elbow was like a bit of fruit. And I knew I was in trouble. And then when I tried to get up, like it was just white pain down the right side of my body. And like I said, it was a dead apartment, me and that kid on the lobby floor, 11 days, empty city. And I was effed. That was the moment where it was like, it cannot get worse than this. And that's really where the book starts. That's like our starting point of where do we go? And if it had been maybe a Netflix series, it could be an episode like, how do you get up to the apartment? How do you get upstairs? How do you get to the hospital? But I kind of used that as the jumping off point to start to tell a larger story, not about logistics of getting healed, but or getting my physically to the hospital, but more the story of a little girl and her dad rising from this bottom point.
I don't know what's going to happen now. Now what? Right. It's you leave. I understand why you make the writer's decision to leave that now what hanging instead of saying, and so then somebody eventually called 911. It doesn't matter. The point that matters is how could it get any worse than this? And there you are.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I tried to write those pages and you could feel them dragging. You could feel it being the part of the movie you just want to,
you want to fast forward.
I don't want to be in. And the real truth is that the story is about me and the little girl. And that's much more interesting and fascinating and fun. Kids are just, they're funny. You know, toddlers are funny. They say, look at me, Daddy, look at me, Mommy. And you know a faceplant is coming. You know they're going to run smack dab into the wall. There's no question about it. And that's more interesting. Watching a child learn and grow and question because she constantly wants a mother and wants a mother figure. It creates you root for her, even as she has trouble in pre-K and in the playground. And even now she's 15 and you root for her, even as she makes me want to jump out the window a couple times a day on a regular basis.
It's funny that the book is called I Will Do Better. I want to talk about that because anybody listening to this is Dad went through this incredible, horrible experience, then was injured and did get up off that floor and raised a child. And she's now 15, and now you've written this beautiful book about it. Like, who could do better? And yet you, in it, had to tell yourself that every day, or thought you did.
Don't you think every parent says that to themselves 50 times a day? And I know I constantly feel like I'm coming up short. I do what I can. The kid's in a play. I try and make sure that she has cupcakes and sandwiches and flowers and celebrate when she comes home. Something goes wrong on the way home. Something happened at the play. Something like life gets in the way of whatever. And so then the cupcakes get stale. You
forgot to press record, but yeah, there's just always something happens.
Right. So you forgot to press record. You didn't bring money the right day for school. There's always something. And I'm always saying, like, I'll do better, like late to pick her up. So what do I have for her snack? Like a wilted cheese stick. All the other parents have plastic containers of fresh pasta. They have fruit. And on the subway, I sat on the cheese stick the whole way. Here you go. And then you just see this. So, and I'll do better. I don't know. I'll try. And that just seemed, and then there's a point in the book, I don't want to like ruin it, but there is a point where the kid is like, you keep saying you're going to do better. Come on, when is that going to happen? And it just wrecks its emotional moment. But it's also like, I tried not to sugarcoat. I tried to be as honest as I could about myself and my shortcomings and my fears. I felt that look at how I did it, and patting myself on the back would be fake to me and fake to our experience. And I think it's also just, it helps anyone. It helps me when I read something and recognize that someone else feels. And I hope that I could do that for anyone who's raising a child. Mine is a weird, extreme situation, but I think from what I've heard, raising any kids is super hard in the best of circumstances. So hopefully there's that common experience.
All of us think we're failing, but we're really doing a lot better than we think we are. So maybe this is just a very extreme example of this. We can stand outside this and say, look what you did. But when you're in it, it's those small daily failures. And there's a lot of this in the book, that how can it only be 10 a.m.? Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this child all day?
Right.
Everybody has lived through that.
Right. Every parent knows what it's like when it's Saturday afternoon and the clock is not moving and you've played all your cards. You've done everything. You've had the play date. You've done the computer learning games. You've fed them the mouse, the Disney, they've had and you have nothing else. And they're still bouncing there waiting for you, whatever's next. What am I going to do? Like, every parent knows that experience, has that experience. That's absolutely true.
I'm talking to Charles Bock. His new memoir is I Will Do Better, and we'll be right back. All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE.
Hey there, I'm Kendra Adachi, and my show, The Lazy Genius Podcast, helps you be a genius about the things that matter and lazy about the things that don't, and you get to decide what matters. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to give you a new way to see. Episodes of the Lazy Genius Podcast are full of compassionate time management tips and permission slips to do what makes sense for you. New episodes drop every Monday. Follow and listen to the Lazy Genius Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Charles, I wanted to talk to you about what you learned from this experience and how you walk others through this. I went through a loss in my own life recently, and it really changed. I understand now what to do for that person who needs something in a new way. Whereas in the past, I might have been like, oh, I hate to bother them and that kind of thing. Now I know you just send the text, you just go, you just show up, you just do the thing. I'm wondering who showed up for you in ways that helped you, in ways that you have carried with you since then.
Well, first of all, I'm lucky in that my sister was across town and that she was available for me just to vent to, and each Saturday for us to visit. We had other people. Lily's mother's best friend, her godmother, this woman, Susanna, showed up every Sunday evening to spend time with Lily, and still does. She still does. Lily's 15 now, and they still, just 2 weeks ago, they went and saw Billie Eilish together. There are people who, her grandmother on Skype or now on FaceTime is a major part of her life. And there were also like some people I knew vaguely through the writing world. There was a married couple and they volunteered. Can we come once a week and take her to dinner just to give you a break? And it would be enough time for me to nap. or enough time for me to go get some food or just to veg out, to get away from the apartment for a few hours, or to have the apartment alone for a few hours. I was lucky, and it changed my understanding of human nature between my wife's illness and how people stepped up, and then the different levels of kindness that I've seen in the people around me with regards to Lily. And I'll always be thankful for that. I'll always be amazed at how many people are out there. And it did let me understand that it's okay to ask for things, that it's okay to email someone and say, I'm going through something. Can I get some help? Because especially if you're not going through something every 4 minutes, most people understand when someone asks, I will answer. I think we're all good that way. Sometimes we can't do it because sometimes life just doesn't allow it. But there's the list of people, I couldn't even list them in the acknowledgments because there was just so many. And there were so many people who took time from their own busy schedules to check on me. And it changed my understanding of the world, it really did.
There was some writing advice you talked about in the book that was, I thought, profound. And you talk in the book about finishing the novel and getting through this, that being this creative person who has done this hard thing in a way prepared you for this. Anyway, the advice was that I think you got from somebody else, and you tell your writing students, is if you stop, you know what happens.
That's right. I tell that to my writing students all the time, but I also feel that way about so many things in life, that you kind of know the answers when it ends. You can look around and see your half clean apartment and know I will be living in filth. Now, right. Sometimes I might choose that for a certain amount of time, but you don't know what happens if you keep going. And creatively, and especially with people that you care about, there is something to just the optimism of the unknown, and that feeling of, let me see what happens. What happens if I sit here for an hour and I don't watch cat videos and I just look at the sentences in front of me and start playing with them? What happens if I try and make them shorter and make each one have one point to them? Let's say, how more interesting will my word choices be? And I find, and I've been told that, like, if you want to get metaphysical, that Buddhists wash the pot, make the food, eat the food, wash the pot, one little step at a time, that's how you get through things, that there's a Buddhist element to that. What happens if I do this? What happens if I just sit here and concentrate and try and take care of this for a fixed amount of time and see what happens? It can be really exciting. It can be, abject failure, but sometimes you need to have that hard stuff so that you can get to the moment where things start to get exciting and you understand stuff you hadn't understood before.
Right. In writing, that something gets unlocked, right? After you've been sitting there for 90 minutes, not being particularly productive, but if you stay, it will come.
You have that long sentence with all these ideas in it. And then if you start to chop them up, then you come to the end clause and you're like, oh, that's my point.
Right.
This is actually what I care about. I had all this stuff, but now I see this is where I really start. And you have to go through it. That's the unfortunate part of it, is that no one else can do that for a person. They can help, they can try, they can give you feedback, but just that little, what happens if I sit here and mess with this? Let's see. For me, that ends up being life-saving, life-changing.
I love this idea. I love it because I definitely know that you walk through hard times where you put one foot in front of the other, you wash the pot, you do one thing at a time. You say to somebody, I don't think I can do this. And they say, yes, you can. And then you do it. You do the hard things. But I had never thought of it before that, yeah, you do have an option. You can just stop here, but then you know what happens and it might not be very good.
When I was a younger man, I had spent a certain amount of time on the manuscript that ended up being my first novel. And I finally used what little connections I had and got it to this big agent, and never heard from them. Then they one night, one like Friday afternoon, I get a frantic call from the agent's office saying, we read it, or my assistant read it. The assistant loves it. I'm taking the book to Cuba. I'll call you on Monday. This is someone who like is more powerful than the publishing house. So I spend the whole weekend thinking I'm in with this agent. I'm in the mafia. I did it. Hooray. Monday, when she called, she was like, I don't really get it. Like teen runaways, Las Vegas, porn. Who cares? I don't care about these people. Maybe I could show it to a junior agent and maybe they'll want to represent it, but I don't know what to do with this. And obviously, I was ready to jump out of a window. It was heartbreaking, and kind of took the dog for a walk, and one of those 2-hour walks because you just don't want to go in. And at some point, I remember the thought of her saying, I don't care about these people, remained lodged in my head. And on the one hand, I could have been like, okay, I tried. This is over. I put it in the drawer and I'm done. And that, like, it killed me. And even just saying it now, my stomach drops at the thought of that.
You could have, right? You could have stopped. Yeah.
I could have. I would have known, I tried and it's done. But I had no ideas. I had no, what's my next project or what am I going to do? It's not like law school was waiting for me or I had some great job. I was like a third shift legal proofreader working 12 to 8 a.m. And that phrase that she doesn't care about this whole world that I created, that means I'm looking at it wrong because I need people to care. I needed people to care. And so that was a beginning point. And it took, I don't know how many years it took me after that. It took me a long time. But I did have that feeling of, I know what happens if I put it in my desk drawer. I have no ideas. I have to get some kind of office job that I'm too old, that I'm so old for. I can't justify trying to make ends meet and call myself a writer anymore because I'm at the end. Or I have this world that I built that someone doesn't care about. Why don't they care? What have I done wrong? I've done something wrong. I'm not just going to say this person has too much clout. If it was right, if they could have made money on it, I would have done something. Then it would have happened, So what's wrong? They don't care. And I went back and I reread it and I started circling things. And for me, that's been maybe it's an excuse for me to just keep banging my head against the wall and doing what I want to do. But I believe in that idea of if you quit, then you can see what your future is in certain ways. If you don't, and you learn and you pay attention, we have no idea what could happen. I believe that artistically.
I believe it artistically, and I believe it personally. This is a time where everybody's feeling a lot of uncertainty about what will happen next, and the idea that you have a choice for how your heart approaches it besides duck and cover, that you can, well, if I stop now, I know what happens, that I can keep going.
Right. We have to keep going. Art has survived. And there were amazing chronicles that tell us what life was like in Germany during when Hitler came to power. Art made it through. People helped each other. We know that about so many moments in history. We owe it to ourselves to raise our kid, to live in an ethical, moral manner, to try and be kind and decent in our daily dealings with one another. If we live creative lives, then we owe it to ourselves to try and be creative. If we live lives of involving wellness, then we have to try and help other people stay well and be healthy. What can we do? History is large. Our lives are small, but they're what we have. They're what we have.
Yes, and sharing the truth of our lives matters. This book is the perfect example of that. Sharing stories and making meaning out of them really helps other people.
Oh my God, absolutely, right? It matters. Thank you for saying that. I do think sharing in podcasts, the amount of what's available to people to understand, to talk about in terms of like grief, in terms of coping, in terms of parenting, even if it's like, taking up the when I was a kid, I loved The Shadow, those radio plays, Who Knows What Evil Lurks in the Hearts and Minds of Men. My parents would play these old radio cassettes on drives to Disneyland. Now there's these serial podcasts where we can go through anything. There's so many creative outlets and so many ways where we can share our experiences. And I do think that that is a benefit. I don't think that's escapism. I think that allows us to live and allows us to connect.
I totally agree. I've been talking to Charles Bock. His new memoir is I Will Do Better. It's a beautifully written book, full of meaning, as you have heard today. Charles, tell our listeners, I will put the links to buy the book in the show notes, but tell our listeners where else they can find you.
I am on Facebook.
So are we.
I'm on Facebook. I don't have X. I don't have tweets. I don't have Instagram. My whole life was trying to hoard time and take care of my kids. And then you try and hustle your little book, hint, hint. And they say you have to have platforms. And find me on Facebook, say hi. I'll send a message back. You can say, I have a website, Charles Bock. You could do a web search for my website.
We'll link to that too. We'll help you guys out. We'll find it.
Send me an email. I'll say hi. I have the basics, but I'm out there.
We will put the links to all of that. We'll make sure you can find Charles everywhere he is, including Facebook. We love Facebook.
Thank you.
Charles, thank you. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Oh, this was a pleasure. Thank you, Amy. And thank you all podcast listeners for hearing me ramble. I appreciate it.